Hello, everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to this week's live Path to Prosperity webinar. Welcome aboard all the students. Most of you are investor agent students. A lot of new Texans on board, Canada, California, everywhere in between. Welcome aboard, veteran and new alike. If this is your first webinar, you're gonna notice by default you're automatically in mute mode. I mean, everybody is other than me. And sometimes I do unmute you, especially if we're role playing and stuff like that. But it's basically free form, open mic. You type in any question you want. I do like to be prepared ahead of time. If there's something specifically you want to cover, if you could email me in advance, a day or more in advance always helps. But I'll take emails whenever they come, as long as I can get to them before the webinar and cover your subject in the webinar. Now, during the webinar, you obviously use the chat box to type in your questions, okay? And whether you're on live, which is now, of course, or you're watching this in recorded mode, always make sure you get the email the next day from Beverly. And if you're in recorded mode, you've obviously gotten the email because you'll get the recording of this. And you can replay it, fast forward, rewind, the whole 9 yards, stop it and pause it and all that. There's also other information that Beverly gives us in those emails. So for example, all of the November webinar dates are now set, at least as far as I know. And I just put out there a whole bunch of all the time slots for November. I think this week is pretty well booked for time slots. Everybody's starting to book next week, even into November. Also, I got a nice little surprise for you. There's an email that's going to come out next week. For those of you who are actively producing, okay, like Louie, you're a good example. And Shannon, I saw your email about selling your brother's place and helping with the multi-net. That is awesome, by the way, so thanks for sharing that. If you're in production and like Lauren Temkin crushing it up there in Santa Barbara, we're going to actually open up the podcast for our students. So I'm allowed to interview you on the weekly podcast that goes out to all the consumers. I mean, engineers, dentists, what have you. And by the way, now it's like in 30 different countries. So in a lot of states, you've got a lot of foreign investors. Foreign investors are in pretty much every state, but definitely in Texas, California, and up in the Northeast. A lot of Canadians come down here to invest. In fact, today's class, one of the students, her husband's Canadian, Newfoundland, and all those guys that study engineering out there come down here to be in the oil and gas business, and they're investing right here in Houston. It's just amazing. So this will help you get some business out of it. What I want to do is to show these consumers that we really do have you on board. You've trained, you're learning, you're studying, and you're actively engaged in serving them. So we want them to see that, and we want to obviously give you a chance to shine and attract those clients to you. So that's the big benefit. So if that sounds appealing to you, please let me know and look for the email. They're going to have me do a short video. Hopefully I'll keep it short to explain what we're doing, and then you can just email back and say, yes, Gary, I want to do that. So look for that. In any case, without further ado, let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. So I'm going to flip over, Louie, I'm going to, actually, Shannon, I'm going to do your email first, okay? And then Louie, do yours next, because yours will probably take a little bit longer, Louie. So hang on to your seats, everybody, so I can go back. Actually, that's Louie's email there. So let's go back to Shannon. Hang on one second. There it is. Okay. So here's, let me do this. Let me share this first, guys. Hang on just 1 second. Share, and we're going to share Shannon's email. Okay, so this is from Shannon Goldsmith, student out in Beverly Hills, California. And by the way, awesome student. We did a webinar back in July. In fact, it was July 18th, where we had Shannon on explaining how we use RPR and other public sources of data to identify precisely the right areas to invest in, whether it's flipping or buying rentals. So for those of you who are new, go to myinvestmentservices.com. Here, let me show you, okay? So if you're new, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to myinvestmentservices.com. We're gonna click on members area, okay? And then we're all silver level members by default. So you're gonna click on that, okay? And log in. Now let me share this. I'm sorry, I should have done that first. So we're going to do share and share this screen. So now you can see what I'm looking at and talking about. On the left-hand panel is all of your options. You can choose cash buyers report, private lenders report. You can look at the weekly webinars that have been pre-recorded. So let's click on that. Okay. And if you want to look for a particular webinar, you literally just scroll down, right, and look at the descriptions. Okay, the subject matter is up there. So if we go back to July 18th, which will be July, there it is. Guest speaker, Shannon Goldsmith, finding the right properties, how to research and property analysis. Anybody that's doing anything at all with this training definitely should be watching that webinar, okay? Because there's certain things I'm teaching, there's certain things that students can teach you too, and this is something where we're using RPR, and because I'm in referral, I don't have access to it. Plus, she did a really good job of learning how to do custom reporting. So look for that. Everybody just write that down, 2019-7-18, okay? All right, now back to what I was showing you a moment ago. Let's go back here. Let's see, hang on one second. Louis' email, or Shannon's email, excuse me. Okay, so now I'm back to Shannon's email. If one of you could just shoot me a text message letting me know that you've got Shannon's email up on your screen. It's going to say question for webinar, Shannon Goldsmith. If one of you can let me know that, or Shannon, just let me know that you can see it, I would really appreciate that. And I can see it, yay. Okay, how about that? Shannon actually responded to me before, even after. It's called engagement. We're mentally engaged with each other. So in any case, so back to this. For the webinar, lenders, what do you look for in a lender when obtaining financing for income property? So awesome question, because this comes up quite a bit. And I knew for me personally, years ago, I had to learn just through the School of Hard Knocks too, to really focus on the community lenders. So if you can write this down, guys, you should always have something to write on with these weekly webinars. So community lenders are often going to be far more agreeable to working with you on these investment properties, and especially if you're going to be doing anything creative, okay? So, and by the way, the word community in banking actually means something and implies something important. Versus the national lenders, they're typically not community bankers, okay? They're national lenders. They all sell their mortgages with one or two rare exceptions. And when they sell their mortgages, these are mortgages like the banks will package up a bunch of mortgages together, package it up, and then sell it to investors on Wall Street who are the big, mutual funds, hedge fund managers, things like that. And then they turn around and sell shares of those funds to you and I, and we can invest indirectly in the mortgage business, okay? So what happens though, that all sounds great. But what happens is when one of those lenders has a mortgage in default, FHA, see, when you sell mortgages, FHA requires you to do certain things. One of them is use asset managers when you have a defaulting mortgage, okay? This is all in the States. In Canada, the banks actually handle their own default mortgages directly. So, but here in the States, typically it is. In the States, it makes our lives a lot more difficult. So we prefer working with community bankers. So the term community implies that the lenders are operating at the community level, and each branch manager is responsible for his or her own depositors and borrowers, okay? Translation is this. They also will likely be what we call portfolio lenders. I want you to please write that down too, if you could. Portfolio lenders don't sell their mortgages. Community banks are more likely to be portfolio lenders, okay? In Canada, it's all portfolio lending. We don't sell any mortgages up there, okay? So here in the States though, portfolio lenders, it makes it easier to do banking with. So Shannon, the short version of what I just described is focus on community lenders who are portfolio lenders, or community lenders who are portfolio lenders, yeah, excuse me. And you can actually Google, so Shannon, I did this back in probably the spring, maybe it was early spring, late winter. I was teaching down at Orange County. I forget which market center I was at, but one of the students there actually owned shares in one of the banks. So we went and Googled the bank, and I said that's a community lender. So we then Googled community bankers in Southern California. And lo and behold, there was already a list already provided. So wherever you are, if you're in Houston, Texas, you can Google community bankers, Houston, Texas, and you'll get a whole list, okay? And they can't call themselves community banks unless they do certain things a certain way. So the bottom line is this: is portfolio lenders do not sell their mortgages, and they don't have to follow all those FHA guidelines. They can choose to, they're just not required to. But when it comes to borrowing money for us or our clients, what it means is they can be far more flexible and far more creative. They're likely to do things like, blanket mortgages across a portfolio of properties. They can do things like you can buy a property to flip, and they'll let you buy the property, including the money for the rehab, all on the same mortgage. And at the end of the rehab period, they'll convert it to a permanent mortgage, okay? It's a good old-fashioned construction loan, but in this case, it's used for an existing property, not a brand new purchase or a brand new build. They took the same methodology and applied it to the investors who were flipping properties. So you can get a loan that includes money for purchase and rehab, and when you're done, it converts to a permanent mortgage, or you just sell the property and you pay that off, okay? Some other examples I've seen that are really nice for us investors, or those of us who work with investors, is they use what's called conventional lending, which means non-FHA, okay? And they can do other things like bridge loans. Like, let's say you're selling one house and buying another, and you still have the old house. Well, they'll let you do a bridge loan, which is essentially an equity loan based on the difference between what you owe and what you own, right? They're up to 100%, by the way, and use that to put down on the new property. And then when you sell the old house, that gets paid off, okay? And the whole thing gets paid off. So lots of creative things you can do with community bankers. That's why I really encourage you to use them. So let's just see, Shannon, let's just do this real quick. Community banks in LA County, and let's see what pops up here. So Amaret Bank, and let me do a screen share. Hang on one second, Shannon. That's it right there. So Amaret Bank came up. They must be a community bank. And let's just scroll down here. Here's a bunch more, Shannon. Process Green, First Republic Bank, Umpqua Bank, Bank with a C of California, One West Bank, Broadway Federal Bank, Pacific City Bank, bank actually called Community Bank. How about that? There's a whole list of them, and you can actually click on this right here, yelp.com. Let's see what Yelp has to say. Schools First Credit. By the way, how's that for a coinky-dink? That was the bank we were looking at back in last winter. They had a large percentage of their loans in trouble, and I know one of the investors in the bank. So I think that one's out of like Long Beach, Shannon, if I'm not mistaken, but Premier America Bank. So there you go. So this is going to tell you all of the community banks. There's some are credit unions, some are not. And then they have to disclose, Shannon, for everybody listening, they have to disclose if they're selling mortgages. So it's something that's very easily identifiable. You can actually call them up and ask them, are you a portfolio lender, and do you sell any of your mortgages, okay? And they have to disclose that. In fact, if you ever get a loan from a community bank, they give you a page you have to sign that says you've read their disclosure that they may sell 25% of their mortgages, or maybe 50% or 75%, or none at all, okay? So excellent question. Let's go back to the email though, because I think there's more here. Now, when it comes to rates and terms, when you get conventional mortgages, a lot of times they want you to have shorter terms, okay? So instead of doing an FHA loan for 30 years, let's say 4%, you might have a conventional loan at 20 years, or even a 15-year term. Now here's the difference between conventional and commercial. See, commercial loans you can get too. Anytime you're investing in real estate, if you're not living in the property and it's going to be rented out, that's considered a commercial enterprise. And even though it might not be a big building, I mean, I've gotten commercial mortgages even on single family homes, okay? Because they're non-owner occupied. I'm making a business out of it. And what I'm getting at is commercial loans generally will have variable rates. They'll be repriced like every 5 years with a 15-year term, but repricing every 5 years. The rates are usually very competitive. There's usually lower fees. On the conventional side, those are more for people who are buying their own home to live in, but they don't want to do FHA. However, we investors can also use conventional loans. The difference between conventional and commercial is conventional is more traditional, right? It's you might have a longer term. You can sometimes get a 30-year term on conventional, but if they know you're not owner occupied, if you're going to be renting it out, they're going to try to get you to do a shorter term. So Shannon, what I recommend for your brother is to look for conventional first. They're usually easier, a little bit cheaper. And if they say, well, would you do a 15-year term? Just tell him to say, look, what about a 20-year term? Okay. And they'll often say yes. So with a 20-year term, you still get a favorable interest rate, usually lower than a 30-year term. But more importantly, it's paid off faster. And the difference in the payment is really not that great. The difference between a 20-year payment and a 30-year payment is actually not that big of a deal. So in any case, everything is negotiable as usual. And for your clients, guys, in this case, particularly Shannon with your brother, what they're going to offer in a large part is going to be based on the property and his current credentials, what his credit worthiness is, his cash position, things like that. They're going to look at his job history, how long has he lived where he's been living, that type of thing. They're going to take 4 things into consideration. So this is what you want to write down, guys, okay? Here's the 4 things. Cash, collateral, credit, character. Most people think of credit as the first thing to look at, and it could be, but they also want to know how much cash you're putting down and what you have in reserves. That's cash. Your credit history, what's your credit history, obviously, your credit score. Collateral, do you have any other collateral, like jewelry collections, art collections, stamp collections, other properties, okay? CDs, mutual funds that are non-retirement mutual funds, things like that. The last thing is character, which is often usually the first thing, by the way. So they want to see what is your history in up and down markets. So in other words, when it comes to being an investor, any investor can make money in an up market. What they want to know is what happened when the economy shifted downwards. Did you stay with it and keep with your properties, or did you walk away from anything? Because they don't like that. They want to know that you're going to bring that ship to shore safely and get it in the harbor, okay? So in any case, here's the thing, or it does have to do with the types of programs you have to offer. So the other thing, Shannon, about these community banks or portfolio lenders, is that they can definitely be more creative and more strategic in their loan packages. I'll give you a good example. One of the large national lenders is called US Bank. They're definitely in the area, California, and they're in Texas too, by the way, for all the folks in Texas here. And even though they're in 48 different states, 48 states, the last time I met with one of them, this was in, what state was that? Indiana, or was it Ohio? It was Ohio, excuse me. They had a loan package where it was sort of like a bridge loan I described earlier. But what they did is they took the loan, they allowed you to have a mortgage that included the new house and the old house together under one mortgage. It wasn't a bridge loan, it was one mortgage. And then when you eventually sold the other house, they would reduce the principal and then lock in the loan at that time. So when investors jumped all over it, they were like, holy smokes, we can do all kinds of investing with this type of strategy. So that's an example of why you should go to the community banks, okay, or portfolio lenders. Let's see, also you're assuming it will be better because they may have a good understanding of invested properties. Is that necessary? I would say it's not like a legal necessity for the bankers to be familiar with investor type loans, but boy, it sure does help. So whenever I have lenders speak at my classes or my workshops or my conferences, I always screen them in advance and make sure that they're friendly to investors, okay? So you can ask them, so Shannon, you can have your brother call them and ask them, say, do you have any loans specifically for investors, or do you currently work with investors right now? And they'll tell you yes or no. Most banks definitely do, especially community banks. So in any case, lots of answers there for for a couple of good questions. Let me just check the chat box, and then we'll move on to Louis' email. Okay, so let's see here. For Louis, would they accept a TP loan on rehab as mortgage plus? So Louis, when you say TP loan, fill me in on that, what you mean exactly by that, because I'm not sure if that may just be a Canadian term. I think what you're saying is mortgage plus the rehab, and the answer is absolutely yes. There are banks that will do that. They'll allow you to purchase the property and keep money in escrow for rehab. And what they'll do is they'll draw. It's like a construction loan. You're doing draws from the money for the rehab as the project progresses. And at the end, it just converts to a permanent mortgage. Or if you're selling, of course, you just sell the property and pay everything off. Typo should be TO. Oh, would they accept to loan on rehab? Yes, so you can actually get loans just on rehab, guys. So in other words, if you buy a property and you already own the property, or you buy it with cash or buy it with another loan, and you need money for rehab, you absolutely can get rehab loans, definitely from these smaller banks, okay? You can even go to private lenders for rehab loans. We've done that a lot too. So in any case, let's do this, guys. Let's shift gears here. If you do have questions, again, feel free to type them in, but we're gonna go to Louis' email. So let me go back down here. There we go. All right, so Louis, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring you on vocal or audio, excuse me. And if you could kind of walk us through this, that would be awesome. Just tell me to shift down or shift to the right. So hang on one second, Louis. I'm gonna bring you on audio here. So let's see. Gotta go back up here. L for Louis. Okay. Allow to talk. Okay, so Louis, you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay. So if you can, I mean, you're on, but looks like you're self-muted. If you could unmute yourself, that would be great. And I'm going to have you walk through this. So everybody that's new, by the way, this is an awesome exercise in why we like these webinars. It's not just instructional material-wise, but we're going to actually go over a property live using a pretty neat calculator that Louis has. And you get to see why we do this. We can look at this property upside down, inside out, backwards, forwards, everywhere. It's a great way to get used to looking at these properties and getting used to looking at things from multiple lenses. So Louis, is that you I hear?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Well, everybody say hi, Louis, and Louis say hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So, all right, Louis is up in St. Catharines, Canada, right over the border from Niagara Falls, and serves a good bit of Ontario up there. And we've become good friends over the last couple of months, and may do some joint ventures together here in the future. So Louis, go ahead and just start us off here, excuse me, looking at the property, and let's try to get creative and see how we can modify loan terms, down payments, maybe even to add some additional income by adding storage or laundry and stuff like that. How's that grab you?
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize I should have something to drink. Okay, first you need to understand this is a bungalow triplex that is 2,700 square feet on the main floor and the same thing in the basement. Mm-hmm. It is near a university, 12 minutes away. It is 5 minutes away from a brand new hospital. It's 9 minutes away from downtown, boutiques, restaurants, major shopping center, everything. It's a rural property, so that the utilities, we don't have water. It's going to be on septic tank, mm-hmm. and it's going to be on well for water. Okay, so the property was built in 1989 mm-hmm. as a legal non-conforming triplex, 3 units, one bedroom, which I call the 3.5. Mm-hmm. and two bedrooms, which are 4.5. So the possibility of this is the seller wants $400,000.
Okay.
When I look at the direct comparison approach, there's nothing to compare against, absolutely zero. Okay. So I can't do an analysis based on doors or based on the number of rooms. So I don't have a choice here. I really have to go with an income property search. And so this is what I've got here. So it's broken down into various areas. So first I enter my price that she wants. And right next to it in the green, it says the optimal rent would be between 1% and 2% of the price, of the asking price.
Okay.
That means that the rent should be between $4,000 and $8,000. Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're putting down 20% here, so that's 80,000. Closing fees around 3,000, and they haven't done any maintenance in about 20 years. So that house will need 75,000 plus in rehab.
Mm-hmm.
So my cash outlay would be 158 to begin.
Okay.
All right. Now, right underneath it, you have what the current rents are. So she's got one bedroom for $686 a month, and one 2-bedroom for $994, and she lives in the other one. So that means I've got $1,630 worth of income from the rental.
Okay.
So then you see the occupation is 100%, so I get the full amount. And as I go down, I'm looking at my vacancy. I've got it down to 4%. In St. Catharines, the average is 2.2%. These units have been occupied for a long time, ever. You can see by the rents that haven't increased.
So Lou, this property actually is in St. Catharines then?
Yes, it is, St. Catharines.
Okay.
It's called rural, but like I said before, it's 5 minutes away from everything that you want.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's a really good location, and it's 5 minutes away from major highways to Toronto and to the US, which would be 30 minutes away.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got gross potential income, and I've got gross operating income, and that's just the difference is just the 4 months, the 4% of vacancy or credit loss. All right, now if I jump to the right, I've got the operation costs. So I put down 9% as management, and that again can be played with because I just entered a percentage, will change the numbers. Accounting and legal, because your purchasing is going to cost you more the first year, but the years after that, basically your accounts are going to cost you more. So I've got it down to 3% each for about $1,100. What I've got for repairs is minor upkeep. You need a fridge, you need to repair some plumbing, whatever. So those are small amounts that can happen per year. And the maintenance is like a condo fee that you're building over time, so that when you have to change the roof and it's going to cost you $15,000, that okay, that you've already got it in as reserve.
Okay.
The insurance, I called for insurance, should be around $24,000 to $3,000, and it's just a landlord insurance. And the supplies, well, you've got to cut the grass and you've got to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Now the insurance, typically there's different levels or different, they call them forms, like A form, B form, C form. Do you know which form this is? Does this include like rental reimbursement or rental replacement if there's like a fire, or is it?
Yes.
It seems a little bit high, but do you know what the type of policy that was?
Yeah, there's going to be certainly liability.
Okay.
And we're up to 4 million in liability because that's always the scariest part. The other one for fire, water damage, and the like. So that will, and he didn't give me much of the, all I was looking for here is give me a broad, idea of what it could be because he was looking into it and I needed to have the numbers. So he said, well, start with 2,400 and I'll adjust it. So that's what I got.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So I've got total operating expenses here of 8,500-ish.
Okay.
So then I go to the left-hand side again, and I've got a gross rent multiplier of 20, which is horrible. And then everything that you see in red means that this property, if we're looking at it this way, you'd run away from it. So your projected annual before tax cash flow is a minus 8,500. years to recover outlays are negative because we're not making enough money. And so it just means don't touch it. Cash on cash is a minus again, 53%. Net operating income is 10,000 against 8,000 total operating. But then when you add your debt service, it kills you.
Right.
Right. So if you go down to the left again, you've got net operating that I just copied over. And then your debt service is about 18,000, 19,000 round number for a year, using a 30-year amortization period. Okay, then my capital expenditure comes back in that I just copied from the top at 75.
Okay.
So that gives me a cash before tax of minus 83,000.
Right.
So at this point, you're going, okay, well, obviously this is going to work unless I do some serious creative thinking here.
Right.
All right. And the very bottom is just the numbers that we play with, Gary, which is what you taught us. After repair value, the value of this house after repairs could be between 475 and 550.
Okay.
Depending on what you do with it. And then you want a profit. So I wrote the profit here at 20%. I think you're at 20%. If you go down, yep, you're still 20%. And then, so the value would then be at 380. And I said, okay, I've got my CapEx again, or my rehab at 75. So my max allowable offer would be a 305. I know they want 400.
Right.
Well, we got some negotiation to do.
Right.
Okay. And the rule of thumbs are just that. It's just like 1% should be rental income against the debt service.
Okay.
And the 1 to 2% is the amount of income against price. And the 50% rule is that your expenses should be 50% of your income.
Yeah.
And the 70% rule, well, that's for flip and wholesaling. In this case, you have to consider, would it be worth a flip? Well, not at that price.
Yeah.
Okay, so because of how I started this, and I'm going, it's so close to everything. Universities, hospitals, you can rent to students, you can rent to hospital people. It's close to everything. It just needs to be rehabbed so that it looks nicer, so that I can increase the values.
Right.
The rents. Now, I've got a lady in there that lives in a one-bedroom, been there for 20 years. She thinks she owns the place. And when I went to look at the property, she called the cops on me.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was, she says, you're gonna take pictures of this, and she went on, and I said, listen, the landlord is selling, we have to see the apartment, please let us through. She called the cops on us.
And you don't exactly look like a everyday criminal either, Larry.
I try.
Yeah. Okay, couple questions here. So first thing is on the rents there, the 686 for the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 944. Would you say those are pretty much in alignment with the market rental rates for the area?
Oh, absolutely not. When I look at CMHC and I'm looking at what should be the rentals for a 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, we're going to be 900 for the 1 bedroom and about 1,200 for the 2 bedroom.
Okay.
But when I look at the actual market and I look on Kijiji and I look at what's renting today, the 1 bedroom I could get 1,100 for it if it was updated.
Okay.
And the 2 bedrooms I could get 1,700 if it was updated.
Okay.
Okay. So if you change those numbers, because you just go in the yellow and you just change numbers. Yep.
You know, I wonder, I think I have to download this first. Hang on one second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did.
Because I'm looking at it in the screen view, so it's going to take a second to download here. Okay, looks like it's done. So let me bring this up. And I'll turn on edit, because this is why we do these extra. Everybody who's new, if right now your brain's freaking out because you're thinking, boy, this is so technical, I don't know what's going on, just hang in there and relax, because the only way to get comfortable doing this is just to keep doing it. And this is more of an advanced calculator. There's calculators you'll start off with that are, much,
Yeah,
much
the other
simpler.
tabs, Gary, some of them are a lot easier than this one. This one
Yeah.
contains pretty much everything.
Hey, by the way, hey Louis, can you see my screen now where I'm updating
Yes,
it?
yes, I
Okay, so
can.
everybody should be able to see it then. So we said 1,100 potentially. Oops, let me go
Yep.
back here. And then we said 1,700 on the 2-bedroom.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now let's see what happens there.
Okay, you need to refresh because I'm seeing still the old document. I'm not seeing the new document, Gary.
Oh, okay, hang on just one second. Let me do screen share. Okay, good.
Oh.
Now the formula, for some reason, something didn't come over on the formulas. I'm getting the asterisks.
Yeah, I'll give you the numbers because I've got it open on mine, and I don't know
Okay.
why it does that on you. Maybe your screen is a little smaller than mine.
Yeah, I got it allowed me to update the rents, but the potential annual and the annual occupied income, they're not editable fields for me.
No, they're not. That's it. They're locked because it's all formulas. So it's
Gotcha.
all,
Okay.
everything happens. Okay, so you need to add underneath where the other 2-bedroom, add another 1,700. Because when she leaves, that one now becomes available as well.
Good point.
Okay, so there you go. So now you went from 1,600 to 4,500 in rental income.
Okay.
So now you're starting to go, okay, this is getting better.
Yep.
But you need to do the rehab before you can even get anything close to that.
Correct.
Okay. So, okay, so we say, okay, so we evict the old lady and we say, we're taking over your apartment and we're going to do major renovations in it. And to make sure that she doesn't come back, because in Toronto, in Ontario, you can do major repairs and they come back and they pay the same price.
Yeah.
So I have to say, okay, my wife is going to take it. I will take it. My caregiver is going to take it, whatever.
Right.
So in this case, it's like I'm taking over, so bye-bye. So I'm going to lose income for 3 months, actually for a year, because I have to habitate it or take over for 12 months. So I don't get $25,000 fine.
Right.
Okay, so I take over hers. Meanwhile, the seller left. So I rehabbed hers as well and getting 1,700. And the next year, I will do the same thing to the other tenant and rehab their unit and get 1,700 as well. So now we're starting to look pretty good at 4,600.
Okay.
Okay, 45, 46.
Yeah.
Then, like you said before, now we could be adding parking because some of them have 2 cars. So I will charge them $25 for the second car for each that they have.
Okay.
And I would charge them for laundry as well and put commercial machines in there. And I figure on the other tabs that I've got on the Excel sheet, that was calculated somewhere else, and I figure about $150 a month.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's do, I'm going to go up into the bedroom 4. Actually, I'm going to do this. I wonder if they can let me change this to a 1. Oh, good, it did. So the additional income I'm going to put under bedroom 4, unless there's, is there another place for additional income? Let me see here.
No, that's all I got on this tab. That's all I have.
Okay. So if we add up the laundry and the parking, what would you say that would be on a monthly basis?
Okay, so what I did is, let me go to cap rate. What did I do? Okay, parking, laundry. I'm saying laundry, I could get, make it $100 a month.
Okay. So let's see. So now we're at the 46. Plus, is there a basement where you can maybe cordon off some space for storage?
Oh my gosh, like I said before, I got 2,600, 2,700 square feet on the bottom. That's got 2 bedrooms. I need to put a shower in there and a kitchen, and that becomes a 4th unit.
Wow. So this thing really does have potential then.
Yes.
Okay. All right, hey, real quick, let me check the messages. Lou. We got some chats coming in here. So, okay, let's see. This is from Misty. Hi, Misty. Is Louis willing to share the spreadsheet with us? Well,
If you're in Canada, it works. If you're in the US, if you're in the US, the amortization schedule won't really, it's going to be close, but it won't be accurate. But yeah, sure, absolutely.
yeah, just shoot an email to Beverly and she'll get it in with the email out to the folks tomorrow. Thanks, Louis, for doing that too. Okay, let's see. This is Melissa. Hi, Melissa. How you doing? Make the column wider and the pounds should go away.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim saying the same thing. Widen your column.
That's right.
And okay. Let's see.
You're on a laptop, I suppose.
Yeah. So let me go up here real quick. I'm showing my column. Let's do right screen. I think we don't want to clear contents. I should would have just highlight this. Oh, here we go. Now let's go up here. Page layout, is that right? And I want columns. Hang on one second. Where's my columns?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so what you do is you go, is that Excel?
Do what now?
I was wondering if it was Excel that you had, because they're all locked. So I wonder if once it's locked, if you can actually change the size. So
it does say scale to fit.
Yeah, it should.
So I wonder if that's why it's doing that. We checked. There's a couple more. It's just funny because I'm getting the instructor is getting instruction. Okay, put your cursor on the line between the column, hold it down, and move it to the right. Oh, okay.
Okay, so I don't know why you're getting it, because you're getting 1,200, but the other ones are going to be in the thousands. So because I locked all of them, Gary, I don't think that you can format it. So what I'll do is I'll make all the columns wider so that on a smaller screen it shows.
Yeah.
And then I'll send it to Beverly.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to drop and drag. I'm trying to highlight it and drag it. It's definitely not letting me do that, unfortunately. That's because they're locked. That's why.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I locked all the to protect the formulas. Yeah.
But the good news is just eyeballing this. Just based on what we just did, Louis, I think we can make this work. But a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So the 80,000 down, it's assuming, of course, 20% down payment. So let's assume we could get this thing for less to cover.
That's right.
CapEx or capital expenditure.
So enter 350.
Okay.
Okay. So now obviously your down payment is now 70, the 3,000 remains, and the CapEx or deferred maintenance is still 75.
Okay.
Okay, so now I didn't change, all right, I'll change my numbers so that I have the same thing, 1,700, 1,700, and what did you say?
If I can share your screen, hang on one second. Let me do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why not? Sure.
Where did you go? Where's Louis here? You're not the panelist. You might have to be. Oh, here we are. Louis came more. Let's see here. Chat, promote panelists, remove. Yes, that there's. I don't see. I think we have to set you up as a panelist ahead of time to be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So that's okay. The good news is based on what we just went over, if we can get that for 350,
yeah,
I think that's a reasonable, considering it needs 75 in capital expenditures.
That's right. So now years to recover the cash outlay would be 10 years, which is okay. Because all that would be spent in the first year. So in year 2, the numbers would be way better than what we're looking at now. Okay, so 10 years to recover the cash outlay, and then cash on cash would change to a positive. My cap rate would now be 9.5. My debt coverage ratio is almost 2%, 178.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, my break even is 72%. So now if I'm still cash before tax, I'm still at 60%, 60,000 negative. And again, you have to understand that the $75,000 in rehab is what is affecting all of that.
Correct.
And that's year one.
Yeah.
That's year one. So if you want to see year two, you just take away the 75,000, and now you're getting to see everything in the real light. So
Let's do that.
you do take a hit year one, but after year one, you're doing quite well.
Yeah, for some reason it's not letting me do the delete the 75,000.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
The 75,000 on mine as well. Huh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. There's other calculators. Like if you use the one that's on the website, it's the online calculator. It's like a website you go to. You can put in there your capital expenditure, and then it gives you a 5-year projection. So years 2, 3, 4, and 5 will obviously won't include that first year's capital expenditure. And you can see the actual returns.
Okay, that would be helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to change everything.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. Now, where's the loan terms? Let me find that. I know I saw it here.
Okay, so yeah, so if you go to the property analyzer tab.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes. So this one has all of your mortgage calculations. So we include it here. So we're still, let's say, if the top you go to, instead of 400, you bring it down to 350.
Oops, let me go a wee bit longer. There we go.
Oh, why? Mine's working. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oops, one more zero. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So change it to 80%. No, 80% remains. So you've got, okay, so your loan amount would now be 280, which is fine. Okay, so your down payment is 70. Your land tax transfer is calculated automatically by the other tab that's there. It enters the amount and puts it back in here. Your 75,000 you entered. So you've got $650 for your inspection. You've got an appraisal at 400. That's from the lender. Your financing costs are going to be about $1,500 with the mortgage broker and everything else. And I have a staying power fund, which is a bank reserve of 2 months for $3,900. Okay, and I don't have any, I didn't add any additional. So far, you've got gross rents of 1980, and the 23,000, it took it from the rent analyzer. So again, you have to go to the rent analyzer and where it says yearly rent analyzer.
Yep.
And those are true because I had months that I was not going to have income and other months that I will. And unit 3, because I've got the year where I would have to take it over. So those are real numbers. So I'm looking at the total income here of 23,760, and that's what was brought into the other tab that you were looking at, the property analyzer.
Okay.
Okay, so that gives me 1980 in gross rents monthly, 23,760 annually. So here I've got laundry. I put it at 200 a month. Okay, but let's be more realistic at, let's say, 100. Okay, so that's 1,200 a year. So now I've got a total income of 2,080 or almost $25,000 a year.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm looking at the expenses. So I've got gas, I've got heating, I've got hydro. Water doesn't cost me anything because it's a well. Hydro, they all have their own meters. So I don't pay for that, but I do pay for the general hydro for the whole house. So I do have a cost there, and it's oil heating, and it's radiant heat. So which is pretty much the best kind of heat that you would want in a place like that.
Hey, for all the Americans, by the way, hydro is electric and Canada.
Electric,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
actually an interesting historical story there. If we ever have time, we'll have to go over that. But so there's a great series of shows on back in the days when they captured the, hydroelectric power through the Niagara Falls, basically fed the entire Northeast, Canada
Yep.
and U.S. It's just amazing what that did for the growth of the nation. So
Yeah. And Quebec sells everybody electricity because we're the ones that produce it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go down now, you're into operating. So you've got the heating, you've got the property taxes at 5,300, and again at 5,300, they're way too high. So that will be renegotiated because that doesn't make sense. So she's been paying, she never paid attention to it, but I would contest that number.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, by the way, real quickly, thanks. I'm sorry I keep interjecting. For everybody listening, when you own properties in every state or province, you have the legal right to contest your property tax assessment. And it's sadly, probably 90% of the people don't ever do it. They just don't do it. They don't even know they're allowed to. And in some cases, it's good to have an appraisal to help your cause. But other cases, if you're an active practitioner, agent, broker, whatever, and you come in with the same data that appraisers come in with, charts and graphs and things like that. I mean, there were years when the economy was bad. This was in the States, and they were literally, tax assessors were just raising the values to try to keep the tax base coming in. And we would contest them. There were years we lost every case. There were years we won every case. But the point is, and you can always tell when they need money because they won't let anybody win. But if they're flush, to let everybody win. So we would contest them just as a basic practice in our business. We would contest them all the time to keep our expenses down. So thanks for mentioning that, Louis.
Okay. Okay. So down the line again, insurance is 2,400. So that number wasn't changed on yours.
Okay.
I've got 9% property management. I'm paying myself. Repairs and maintenance at 9%.
Okay.
I got the water tank. So we've got 2 water tanks and they forgot to charge us. So they're not charging anything for the water tanks.
Okay.
But I will change it to a tankless, which is more efficient. And that that will cost me $55 a month.
Hey, Louis, real quick, what line should I be on? I'm sorry, I'm sort of talking. I lost track of
you go in the go up. You're still in the operating. Right. Go down a little lower.
Okay.
Okay, a little lower. Go into the operating expenses. Right there.
Go. Okay.
Okay. See, I had insurance at 1,800.
Okay.
So it's really 2,400. Everything else remains the same.
Okay.
Okay, and so 9%, $55 for snow removal. Yes, we do have snow, and we don't have a whole lot in St. Catharines. We're really lucky here. It's very mild winters, but so I put in 750 for both landscaping and snow removal. Laundry rental. Well, I'm going to have to check out how much it will cost me to put commercial appliances in there. And that's it. So right now I would have operating expenses of almost 1,300 a month or 16,000 a year. Okay. So that means that my operating income is 8,000. My vacancy allowance is 4%. So my NOI, my net operating income, would be 8,000 a year. And this is where I enter my numbers to find out what the debt service would be. So I have the choice of doing 25 years amortization, or the one below would be 30 years amortization. So it will just copy the numbers that I enter into the yellow boxes into the one underneath, so that you can compare what the value would be. Yeah, so at 425, that would remain the same.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're using 425 as a rate, then it's going to cost you annually 18,133, or monthly payments of 1,500. That's on a 25-year amortization. So underneath you have, so what's your cash flow before taxes? Of course, it's a negative because our rehab value.
Right.
Okay, and we've got a cap rate of 2.8. Debt service, what my view is, it's got to be better than 1.2.
Yeah.
In this case, as you can see, it's 0.5. Ooh, not good.
Okay.
And the lender's view is they want to see 1.5. So we're way
Yeah.
off. Okay, and then
Okay.
you go 25 years amortization ROI. So there's my cash return. I'm on a negative the first year. My mortgage
Okay.
pay down would be 6,000, 6,500. The appreciation is 5 to 5.5% a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so years to recover again is a minus because I've got minuses everywhere. And then I wanted to compare the numbers with a 30-year amortization. What would be the difference? And you said before, there's a very small difference. There is. It's a $2,000 difference.
Right.
Okay, so you're talking about $200 a month in difference.
Yeah.
So if you can increase the rents and you can cover that, well, that's the idea. So that's how I get my bank rates. I'm doing it right from this one because it's all calculated within this spreadsheet.
Okay, so let me pause here and check for chat quick because we're getting ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
So let's
And if you
see.
click on the cap rate tab, click on the cap rate tab because that is just, you want to compute what the cap rate would be. So the numbers just copy over. Yeah, the second tab in between property analyzer and investment. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so the numbers just copy into this.
Okay.
So you go down the list and again, you're going to arrive, you see different things, debt coverage ratio, you get your gross income multiplier. So all of those you find over here, and then you have what your cap rate should be. So my cap rate should be 8.75. Well, in this case, again, I've got a negative because my numbers on top are no good. Okay, so this is where you're thinking creatively, what can I change to make this where we can actually do something, we can make a deal, and this has way too much potential to walk away from.
Yeah.
So you have to be creative on the numbers and try to figure out how you're going to have a positive cash flow.
Okay.
So that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. There's another calculator. I'm going to see if I can find it. I'll send everybody. That allows you to do what if scenarios, but side by side what if scenarios. It's really neat. It's got like 3 columns, and you can put in 3 different what if scenarios and compare them side by side, so we can adjust the terms on the mortgage, purchase price, the rents, everything. And that's a really neat. Let me write that down. So side by side. So I'm gonna look for that, and I'll include that with the email from Beverly too, guys. So,
cool.
So let me check the chats here real quick before we call it a day. Let's see. Okay, this is from Melissa. Just curious, broker fee is only 0.5. In the US, it would be closer to 3%, big difference in cost of purchasing, or could be 6% for a non-agent buyer or seller, excuse me, not buyer. So Lou, what, like I know, it's funny because out in London, where I live part-time, I mean, they started doing the 2% commissions a few years ago. They never really were able to dig out of that. But most other places in Ontario, like Toronto, are more conventional, more traditional commission rates. What are you seeing? Like, what are you able to command in the St. Catharines? By the way, St. Catharines guy, if you ever go up there to Niagara Falls, go over the border and go to St. Catharines. Some pretty neat places there. And so one of the southernmost parts of Ontario. It's actually very temperate. It's almost more, actually it's more temperate than upstate New York, you know?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, so what would you normally expect there commissions wise, would you say Louis?
I work with several mortgage brokers. Commercial mortgage brokers will charge me a little more, but usually would be the mortgage broker that I use for residential would cost me about $1,200.
Okay. Well, I see what's here. I see. So Melissa's asking about your own commission. I was thinking she's saying broker fee.
Oh yeah, that's different.
Okay, gotcha.
The realtor commission is very different.
Okay. Yeah. Are you guys getting your split? Are you splitting 5%, 6%, 4%, or what are you? I know it's always negotiable, of course, but
Yeah, I get between 6 and 7%.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. You probably wouldn't like London so much then, but I know it's typical, like, Hamilton, Kitchener, those areas
Kitchener
are,
gets 7% as well. And that is basically the benefits that we offer our sellers and buyers. So I
yeah.
get 3% from buyers and I get 6% from sellers.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, listen, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I've got some student calls coming up and dinner and all that. But Louis, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing all this. I think everybody's probably feels the same way. And what we'll do, guys, is I'll get the calculator that I've referenced before. It's a side-by-side multiple what-if scenario view. And Louis, if wouldn't mind sharing this, that would be great. And then you'll have a couple of more calculators at your disposal. And for everybody who's relatively new, just take a deep breath and relax, because this is probably a little more advanced than normal, but it's good stuff to see, because we're just looking at a duplex right now that could eventually be a 3 or 4 or 5plex. And that's exactly the kind of stuff you'll eventually start seeing. So doing this exercise now is a great thing to do. I mean, just just want to immerse yourself, give yourself permission to learn and grow, and you'll get some pretty good commissions out of this too, So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening, good rest of the week. And by the way, next week we will see you on the 29th, which is next Tuesday. And if you have something like this you want to go over, guys, please email me in advance, and I'll be more than happy to go over your properties with you. Any questions you have, like Shannon, that's what this is all about. This is pretty much open mic night. No real format. It's not directly aligned with any module structure. It's just your opportunity to raise questions and learn from everybody else. So, and we thank goodness we got some good folks on the team like Louis who are share a lot with us. So thanks, Louis, for doing that, and thanks everybody else. And I will see you next week. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you next week.